Hey Candice. I'm just going to wait a few minutes to see who else is coming on as well. And then we're going to get started. I've lost the chat box. Where is it? Hi. Hey. I'm going to put that there so I don't lose it again. Okay. All right. So today I'm doing a Canva tutorial for you. I'm really excited to share this with you. I know I say that most days, I'm really excited, but I'm really excited to share this because I'm going to assume most of you use Canva or at least know of Canva, but there are other, I'll just, say that there are other places that you can design images if you are more kind of tech savvy or using photography, and you might be using Photoshop or Lightroom. But I really love Canva. I've tried other ones and Canva just seems to be the one I like the most. I would say I do pay for Canva. So I pay for the business or the, whatever it's called, the business, or I don't know what they call it, but I pay for the business version. So I think I pay something like $12 or $15 a month for that. And the only reason I pay for it, I went back and forth for a really long time, but the reason I pay for it is because I can upload my custom themes and I can create all these crazy folders that you can see on my screen. But I also love the fact that you can create transparent backgrounds. That's something that I always think I'm like, do I need this? And then I use it quite a lot. So there's a few features that you get with the business or the paid version, which I do use and I love, so I keep paying for it. So that's just something I want to make you aware of. But that doesn't mean that you can't do everything that I'm showing you today. Even if you're using the free version, you can still do everything I'm going to share with you today. So today I'm going to take you through how to batch your social media images. Now, I'm specifically showing you how I do it for my Instagram images because I share the same images on Facebook. But I also do a similar thing for my Pinterest images, but I don't batch a month of Pinterest images at once. I'm still trying to, as I've said, I'm still trying to find my kind of batching process with Pinterest because it is so new. But what I do at the moment is I batch per blog post. So what I'm going to show you today is for an entire month of my Instagram, and I'm showing you what I'm going to be posting in April. But what I would do with Pinterest is do it per blog. So typically I want to have 5 pins per blog post. And so I will batch those in like one place. So you'll get an idea once I start showing you what I'm doing. But today we're going to look at this. The reason I wanted to do it is because, and I have already mentioned this, but Canva recently switched to their like 2.0 version. And for any of you who have been using Canva for a while, hi Justine, any of you who have been using Canva for a while will know that there has kind of been this switch over. And initially they offered for me to beta test it. Now I don't think I was privileged. I think everybody was able to beta test it, but I didn't like it. I was like, nope, this is strange and it's weird and it's new. And like I had this aversion to the fact that it just felt completely different to what I had been using for like 3 or 4 years. And whilst I'm all for change, I was like, this feels like I'm learning something totally new. But eventually it happened, and so I had to go with it. But what I found by using this, actually it wasn't as scary. And the great thing is there are a couple of new things they've added which make my life so much easier when it comes to batching my images. I don't love the new side menu thing. I don't love the new layout, but I do like the fact that you can bring across other projects, like existing projects. You can actually see that now and bring those across. That's a really great feature. But I do love the fact there's a little page manager tool, which I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to share with you why I love that. So what I'm going to be showing you is how to batch 30 days of Instagram posts or images, and I'm going to share with you kind of how I look at that, how I go through the whole process. So the first thing I want to show you, also if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat box and then I'll come back and answer them at the end. So the first thing that I do is I've created a Instagram feed for 2019. I've created a separate folder for all of my Instagram images. I'm just going to go into that. And I've only been doing this since March. So the beginning of March, end of February, I started doing this when I was able to use the new Canva layout. So you can see here that I have a template, and this is my April 2019. I don't know why it's not, because I was going to say, why is it not showing the image? But it's because I haven't got any images in there yet. So I'm going to go into this feed. Now, I want to hopefully you guys can see this. I'm going to close this down the side. Yeah. So I want to share with you this little, I might have missed it, but is this specifically Canva for Business? My free Canva doesn't look like this. Yeah, so I use Canva for Business, but you can, I did mention it, but you can basically, what I'm going to show you, you can do it with the free Canva as well. You don't have to have Canva for Business. The things that will look different, at least I'm aware of, will be the fact that I can upload my custom fonts, and that I have custom like brand templates, and that I have multiple folders. So you may not have those, but you will still be able to actually do what I'm going to show you, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know. So I've gone into my template. Now, this is a little kind of sneaky tip that I learned from Tyler McCall. So my Instagram posts are always portrait. I know that if you go into, hang on, let me go back out. If you go into Canva and you go to the section where it has the templates already designed for you, the Instagram post template is 1080 by 1080. So it's a square. That's typically the Instagram image size. But I like to create portrait images. And the reason I do this is because when someone is scrolling through Instagram, typically you are going to see like a square. You'll see some of the image above and some of the image below. If you create your images in portrait, you are going to fill that person's screen, so they can only see your picture. It's like a sneaky little tip, right? So you can have portrait images inside Instagram. It doesn't have to be a square. And I've just been doing it for like 9 months, and I've just kind of gone with it. And I don't know that it makes any difference. I have no idea, but it was like a little tip. It may be making all the difference. I have no idea, but you can do that. So you don't have to stick to the 1080 by 1080. So if you have an image that actually looks better as portrait, you can make it into a portrait. And I'm going to just share with you what the image Instagram template size is, because I always forget. So the size is 1080 by 1350. This is the portrait image size. I just Googled it, and that's how I found the answer when I did it. But back to our April feed. So hello, ladies. For those of you who are just joining us, just so you know, I'm going through a Canva tutorial. If my Canva looks different to yours, it's because I'm paying for my business one, but you can still do everything I'm going to share with you. It will just maybe look a little bit different. So I've created my Canva template. I've copied that so that this is my April 2019 IG feed template, right? I've just labeled it that, but just, label it whatever you want. Now what I've done is I've got this one template and I've copied the page. I've copied the page until I've got the exact number of images or the exact number of templates that I need for the whole month. So this month or next month in April, I'm going to be posting 13 different posts on Instagram over the month. So I've just copied this until I have 13 of them. Now I've gone in and dated them. You don't have to do that. I just like to do it because I like to be able to see, because I post in a very specific order, I like to be able to see what I'm posting. So for example, on the 3rd of April, I'm going to post a quote. So I've changed the color of this background. I've added in the quote that I want to use, or the little text that I want to use on that day. But the rest of them are mostly white. And then we have a few other of this coral color, which is my brand color, on here, because I'm going to be sharing multiple quotes. So the next thing I want to show you is how I start to pull together those images. So I shared a worksheet with you yesterday, and that worksheet walked you through, how to think about the images you want to use with your audience, the kind of captions, how you want to make them feel. Do you want them to feel inspired or informed or educated or motivated? You know, do you want them to feel angry or pissed off? Like, I don't know, there's loads of different emotions that we can make people feel through our images and our copy. How do you want people to feel? And so you can do this through your image and through your copy, and you can kind of bring those things together. One of the most common mistakes that we make is trying to find that perfect image to go with that caption that we've already spent ages creating. Now, you're not going to spend ages creating your captions now because you've got all these tips and tactics I've taught you this week, but I don't want you spending hours trying to find the perfect images. So using yesterday's worksheet, it's really helpful to identify what kind of feed you have. And I've actually grabbed a few feeds to show you what I meant yesterday. So I'm going to start with mine. I'm hoping this doesn't freeze. Every time I move it, it tells me that it's freezing. So I'm going to start with my feed. So I'm just going to show you like the top, well, 9, 6, whatever it is. This is how my feed looks. I have quotes. I have like little infographic-y type things. I have some stock photos. And then I have photos of me. They all have this kind of warm orangey side of color. There's some blue, there's hints of blue, but that's kind of the images that I use. I wanted to show you some other feeds so you can just get an idea of what I mean, right? They all kind of have this certain thing. This is Social Media Manager. Her brand is called Social Cactus. So there's always lots of greenery and lots of plants or succulents in the images, but there's also lots of images of her. This is actually a feed I came across just recently, but I was like, I just thought it was really pretty. You can see clearly the themes are oranges and blues. It kind of gives you that warm feeling, kind of beachy vibe. Really, really pretty. And then I took Justine's because I know that this, her page, or her feed, sorry, is very, very cohesive. Lots of white space, lots of bright colors. It really, you know, pops out. So I just wanted to give you an idea of the different types of feeds that there are, and, oh, wrong one, and how to pull together the types of images that you're going to share. So whether those are the brand colors that you use, whether it's the types of fonts that you use, I would recommend being kind of, if you're doing like quotes or infographics, try to use the consistency when it comes to color and fonts. That's kind of my only thing. I don't think you have to have this perfectly curated, cohesive feed. As I said yesterday, I really like those. I'm there for it. I think they're really nice. But I don't think we all have to have those. I think we can just share the content, and it just needs, you know, we just want to share the right types of content with our audience that really connects with them. And that's one of the reasons why, again, we audit, because we look at what we're measuring. So what I tend to do with my images is I like to do a mixture of stock, quotes, images of me, images of coffee, and some flat lays. And I actually take my own flat lays, and this does not take as long as you would think. I don't do it like all the time, but I like to do it once a month. I've got to just find it because I just created a new folder for it, so bear with me one moment. If you have any questions, just let me know in the chat box. Where is it? There we go, IG. So I like to take some of my own flat lays only because I find that stock photography can serve a purpose for my business and for my brand, and it serves a purpose for everybody's business. But sometimes our audiences can be a little bit turned off, especially if you're downloading free stock photography from like Pexels or Unsplash, or I can't think of any others at the moment, even the Canva images, because they can be used so many times that often you can see these images everywhere. And sometimes it doesn't quite connect with your audience. We talked about this a little bit yesterday and on Monday when we did our audit, but typically images of ourselves tend to do really, really well. But saying that, last month, my most engaged or my most liked photo and most engaged photo was a photo of my hand holding like a little card. And I had a couple of photos of me which just didn't really get the engagement. But it may not have been the photo, it may have actually been the caption, or it may have been the hashtags I used. So we have to just understand objectively that there's like kind of 3 different things at play here. The image is the thing that grabs them. The caption is what keeps them there. And the hashtags is how they find you, right? So using the hashtags is just the searchability. If someone is searching for content strategy, I'm likely to come up, or I will come up. So if someone is searching for that hashtag, they're going to find you. And as they're scrolling through, what you really want is your image to stand out. So it grabs them and then they read the caption. So that's kind of the process to kind of follow when it comes to your images. So as I said, I take my own flat lays, and what I typically do is I'll take a number of flat lays in different designs, different angles. You can see how some of them are darker depending on what the lighting was like at that point in my office. The way I set this up, I don't know if you guys are interested in knowing how to do this, but the way I set this up is it's basically some big old pieces of white foam board and my iPhone. That's literally it. I don't have anything fancy. I have my iPhone and I have white foam board, and I just take things that I have on my desk or in my office, things that if I am doing an Insta story of my morning routine, then, you know, this is the book I'm reading, this is my journal, these are my affirmation cards, this is the pen I'm using. Silly little things, but they're things that make up part of what I do each day. So I will take some stock photos or some flat lay photos of those things. And I just put them all together into a folder for April 2019. And then what I'll do is I'll typically just play around with different images, and I will look to see which of these images fit in the feed right, which one of them, if some of them are too dark, some of these are way too dark, and I'm not going to be able to get them in the right, they're not going to look right in my feed. And some of these are really bright. And these images can be used for any of my captions. I'm not going to only talk about books if I share this book image here, right? I'm not only going to talk about spirituality if I share my tarot cards, right? That's not, it doesn't need to be linked. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So yes, if you are writing a post about fitness, sure, you could have a picture of you working out. That makes sense. But it doesn't have to be like this perfect match. And so often when we're scrolling through, we can spend so much time looking for stock photography. It's one of the reasons why I recommend paying for a stock photography membership, because you get images that not as many people have used, and you get new photos every single month, which I think is so, so cool. And I have a couple of recommendations. If anybody's been interested or looking for those, I can give you some recommendations. But stock photography has a place, but if you want to take your own photos, this is a great little way of doing it, of setting things up, using photographs of yourself. If you can't afford in branded photography, but if you have got branded photos, then use that. I also have branded photos that I will throw in of images of myself. So this is how I start to just pull those images. So it's just going to be that grid, and I'm just going to stick those images in, and I'm literally just going to go through and do that until I filled up the whole thing. I'm not going to show you every single part, but yeah, like this. And then what I'll do is I'll go through, I'll adjust the images, I'll lighten the image, or I'll change it so that it fits in with my feed. Let me just have a look. I said I wouldn't answer the questions, but I will. Yes, we'd love to hear. Okay, so Candace wants to hear about the stock photography recommendations. So what I'll do is I'm going to circle back and do that at the end. So I've gone through. I have all of these 13 little rectangles, portrait rectangles ready. And I've got all, let's just imagine this is filled with photos. I've gone in, I've edited the photos so that they have kind of my filter on them and they're the right color. Now, this is the little tool that is new to Canva, and I absolutely love it. So if you can see down here, there's a little button in the right-hand corner that says Page Manager. If you click on that, it's going to bring all the images up like this. They're all in a row together. The reason this is important is to remember that when your images are seen on somebody's phone, they are not going to be this size. They're not going to be this massive size. So you want to minimize them. You want to test out this page manager, and you want to see, if you look at that image and squint, can you still see what the image looks like, right? Can you still see what the image looks like? For example, this is one of my brand fonts, but I'm totally going to change this because you cannot read half of what it says. I know what it says, and whilst I love the font, it's not easy for my audience to be scrolling through for them to read it. So I'll probably play around with this. I might change this to a more generic font. Let's click into it. So I might change it to one of my other brand fonts, which is, where is it? There we are. To Playfair. Obviously I need to make it smaller. That's too small, but we'll leave it as it is for now. So I might play around with it and do that, right? I might make it centered. I might change just one of the words to, I might just change, let's say, the word mindset into this other font. And I will just play around with that and see what it looks like. Right, and I'll change, and I'll just play around with it, and I'll see how that fits in. I'll see what it looks like, and again, then I'll go to Page Manager. Right, now I can kind of read it, okay? Much better. So these are things that I would play around with as I go through. But the really important thing here is having done all that planning beforehand. So having known what kind of images I want to share to my social media feed this month. By doing that, I'm able to take some stock photography, take some flat lays. I keep calling it stock photography, it's not. I take some flat lays of my own stuff, the things I might use in my own business, and I will I'll just use my phone, I'll curate that, I'll stick them into a folder inside Canva, and then I will just pull those images out. And as I said, I'll just adjust as I go. But having this template set up in my Canva account, knowing what types of images I want to share, knowing, okay, I'm going to be sharing 3 quotes this month, 1, 2, 3, knowing I'm going to share, excuse me, knowing that I'm going to share images of myself, images of some books. So this image probably wouldn't go here, right? Let me just explain that. This image of the tarot cards would probably be over here somewhere, because I like to have an odd number of images between each other. So if I have a flat lay and then a quote, then it tends to be, then the next one is a picture of me, and then maybe it's a stock image. And that's how I plan out my images. And I showed you this on, I want to say on day 2, when we talked about planning. I showed you how I lay out my images. So I always have an odd number, which just means that, again, because I'm obsessed with these things, because I love design, that it means I don't have images next to each other that are the same, basically. Sometimes it doesn't work. It irritates me. I just leave it alone. It's fine. You do not have to worry about it. It really doesn't matter. It's just something that personally I like to see in my own feed. So this is how I set it out. And as I said, this little Page Manager tab is really great, because what it means is you can now just minimize it. You can see all the images together. Is this kind of, are these the images I want to use? And if yes, they are, then you're able to just download the whole lot, right? You can now download the entire folder it will download as a zip drive, and then you can unzip it and upload it into your scheduler. And I'm going to show you how to do that tomorrow. So I'm just going to answer some of the questions that we had. The first question that we had from Candice was stock photography. Okay, so I have kind of 2 stock photography I should start by saying there are a ton of stock photography websites out there. There are a lot of memberships, and my recommendation to anybody is to find a stock photography website that's kind of fits with your aesthetic and your brand. So if you want something that's kind of very feminine and maybe pink and like white space and airy, then there's going to be a ton of options for you. If you want something that's primarily health and fitness, then I would, you want to be looking for something where there are a lot of stock photography websites, bigger stock photography websites that have been going for a number of years. They have such a wide range of photography. So one of the ones that I have used in the past is called Ivory Mix. And Ivory Mix, she has health and fitness photos. She's certainly over the last 6 months, added a lot more health and fitness images. There's a lot more yoga-based images. She does fitness flat lays, so it might be like a water bottle with, I don't know, an iPhone and some headphones and, those kinds of, I actually have some that I can show you. Let me just show you, if that makes sense. So she has a lot of photography that is based on, white space and kind of different colors. Obviously, the ones I have personally downloaded are mostly of desks. She has kids images. Let's have a look. That's me. These were like Easter images that she shared from last year. I don't know why they're in the kids folder. She has like flowers. She'll have typically themes that she shares each month. So you might get 100 new images in April, and typically there'll be some seasonal images, and there'll be different types of colors. And the great thing is, for example, inside her membership, you can, the stock photos, lots of white space, I missed it, sure. Let me just type it in here. So it's Ivory Mix. Just search it on Ivory Mix. So she typically has seasonal images. She'll have images with people. I personally don't love sharing stock photography that has people in it. It's just not something I don't know. I like to have photos of me or my family. You can see a lot of these seasonal ones that I kept because they're oranges. They kind of match my brand with, again, lots of white space. And there's just lots of different types of images. I'm trying to find the fitness ones. There was some fitness ones somewhere. Maybe I don't still have them. I'll have a look. If I can find the fitness ones, I'll show you what they look like. She also shares pre-made quotes. So she'll share like social media quotes that you can just literally download and then share. So you don't even have to write your own quotes. That's pretty handy if you want to be able to save time doing that. So she has lots of white space, lots of desks. There's some parenting. There's going to be health and fitness. There's some food ones. She has a huge library of images. I'm just going to put this out there. You can just go to her website and sign up for her email list, and you'll get some crazy amount of images for free anyway. So that's definitely worth it. I would recommend finding a number of stock photography websites that you like, paid stock photography websites that you like. Go to their website, subscribe to their mailing list, and you will get photos free, basically. Some of them will then email you free photos every month. And the reason I recommend that is because you get to test it out, right? I think it's really smart that you get to test out these images before you actually invest in a membership. And that's what I did. I came across a blog about 2 years ago that told me all about stock photography, something I had no idea about. Didn't know that you could pay for stock photography in this way. I thought the only places that you could do that was like through Adobe and places like that. And I just went to like 6 different websites and I subscribed to all of their email lists. And then as I got the images, I was like, nope, yep, maybe. Unsubscribed to the ones that were not for me. And then I kept the ones that were. And eventually I went with Ivory Mix. Now, I'm a little bit biased, but I also have she's an online friend who also does stock photography, and her stock photography is very different. And that's why I want to show you this one as well. So her name is Amy. She came into our lounge back in December and did a whole masterclass on stock photography. And so she shared with us like kind of benefits and what she does. And so Amy's stock photography is very different to any other stock photography I have seen. It is very different. It's not hugely feminine. She has chosen to position her business in a place where she's offering gender neutral stock photography. She's offering kind of that hig, cozy vibe with photos that look lived in. And I love that about these photos, because honestly, if you came into my office right now, it's not this kind of perfect white desk. I do have a white desk, but it's not this perfect, like, bright, like super, what's it called? It's not this like super flat lay stock photography desk, right? It's lived in. And so I love the fact that she has taken that with her images and kind of shared that. So there is a whole mixture. She has these kind of bohemian vibe, this black and white vibe. She does coffee. There are food images. Hopefully you guys can see this. She did like some cookies and baking ones, this wooden desk, or I don't know if this is a desk or flooring, but this wooden dark wood. Really nice. She's got a whole seasonal section. She did backgrounds. So I'll type this into the chat box as well. Hers is called Ellis Stock Co. And yeah, as I said, I'm biased because she's a friend. But I really love her stock photography. I think it's very different to anything else we see. But it fits a certain type of brand. If it's not your brand, then it's not your brand, right? So those are the 2 that I would recommend. There are so many others. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but what I will do is I'll collate the list, and I'll pop it into the Facebook group, and I'll try and link to all of them as well. But yeah, that's my recommendation when it comes to paid stock photography. I would have a look, download, subscribe. I don't often recommend you subscribe to everybody, but I would just find a ton of them and subscribe. Elle Druin, she has one, I think it's called, I don't know if it's still called Wonderfell. Again, I'll link them all in the group, but she has a ton of stock photography. There's so many. Typically what you see is that kind of white space, bright, flat lays. Some of them, they do memberships where there's limited amounts of people can join. I've seen that as well, which I think is really smart. So you actually don't have 150,000 people sharing the same images. So I think that's really smart. And I would recommend also, if you do decide to go with a paid stock photography membership, that you go to that person's blog and read the posts that they probably have, because I know most of the ones I've seen have. They will have posts on how to customize their images for your brand. So if your brand is typically like blue and kind of the cooler tone, but there's an image that you really like, and I don't know, maybe it's a little bit pink or orange, how to customize that. And I would recommend reading those posts, and maybe even before you invest, so that you can see how to do that. And they typically teach you how to do that inside Canva as well as Photoshop, which is really handy. So yeah, I would recommend you do that. A lot of images that I use, I will kind of adjust them slightly so that they match my brand, so they're not like super dark or super bright and white and airy. I kind of have that warm feel, and so I adjust them. And if an image just doesn't work, then I have to find something else, right? But that's why I also throw in some of these flat lays of my own, because they're much easier for me to customize. So there was another question, which was, what are the benefits of having a paid Canva account? Okay, so the benefits are, and this really, I feel like when I think about these benefits, it's not necessarily like super important to have a paid Canva account. The things that I use from it, I upload my own fonts. So I have brand fonts. So I upload those. That's something you can only do with the paid Canva account. I have multiple brand templates, which I use. So you can upload those. You can also, you can download transparent images. You can also create lots of folders. That's something that you can't do, or you're limited with inside Canva if you are on the free version. You can also share images. So if you want to share images with your VA or with your social media manager or a business partner, you can do that using the paid Canva account. As I said, I want to say it's $15 a month. I'm not 100% on that. It's somewhere between 12 and 15, because I see it come out in pounds, so I don't really know what it is in dollars. But yeah, that's kind of the benefits. I don't know whether that's changed since they changed to Canva 2.0. So that was the benefit of using Canva for business when I upgraded probably a year and a half ago. It may be different now. There may be more things that I can do. I don't know, because they have recently changed. Is the honest. Yeah, I would agree. So Brittany says, I had the paid version for 1 year. Some of the details are really nice, but I didn't use them enough to justify it. The main thing I missed, though, is the folders. It was so helpful and did save some time. I 100% agree. Honestly, that was one of the things I thought about when I have had this account for, I would say, at least 18 months, maybe 2 years. And there was a couple of times I was like, do I need this? And actually, when I realized that I wouldn't be able to have my branded fonts, and so the thing about this is, what I would say, once you have created the folders stay. You just can't create any new folders. I don't know if that makes sense. So you can create folders whilst you have the business account or the paid version, but then even if you downgrade, you can still keep those folders, but you just can't create new ones. So there's that as well. I remember something else I wanted to mention as well, actually, with regards to Canva in particular. So I mentioned this at the beginning, that some of you may not be using Canva, and that's totally fine. You can do what I've shown you in, any of these different photography or designs websites. But one of the things that I have also invested in, I invested in these back in 2017, I think, and that is Canva templates. So I invested in templates, which are social media templates, and basically they are kind of done for you social media style images. Does that make any sense? I'm not sure that made sense. So for example, the templates that I've got are Pinterest, Instagram stories, what's it called? Webinar slides. So PowerPoint. You can buy these templates from different people. I've got some from, can I show you the templates? I can show you the templates. Let's do that. Let me go into here. Where's my templates folder? So the reason I have so many is because one of the brands like updated them, so I had all the same ones again. That's why they kind of look different. So these ones here are from, I'll show you one that I've actually used. Let's show you the Pinterest one. So these are from a company called Blue Chic. Blue Chic, I invested in back in 2017, I invested in their WordPress theme and their Canva templates. So the Canva templates are done for you. Why have I only got one page? Let me show you what this looks like. They are done for you templates for Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all these different social media platforms. And they give you an idea of how to design your images. So I feel personally these are really, really great for blog, like call to action blog style posts. They're really great for infographics and things like that. I think they're really great for Insta stories, and they are really great for Pinterest. This is the template as they send it to you. So none of this has been customized, right? This is not my brand, colors, fonts, or anything. These are the images that they give you from their template. Sorry, Judy says, what is the source again of the Canva templates? I'll pop it in there in a minute. So these are the images they give you. And when I bought these, they actually gave you a lot of these images. It was part of the deal from Style Stock Society, as you can see up here. So these are the Pinterest ones. So they basically take the template and then they give you different ways of overlays, text overlays, and obviously you can just go in and customize this. I can just take out this image and I can stick one of my own images in. You can see this is still in the old Canva, which is why it looks like this. But let me just show you for the purpose of this. Let's just stick that over for now. There's no why we do, but that's what I'm just saying. So you can just take these out. What I like to do with these is I actually like to go in, customize the whole thing to my brand, my fonts, my colors, etc., remove the stock images, and then I save them as the templates so that I can then go in and actually use them with my brand. Let me just come out of this. I can't see the top of my screen. Let's leave that. Okay, so that's a Pinterest one. They also have these great ones, which are like Facebook and Twitter posts with content upgrades. I personally think these are super handy because these work really great if you want to put your Facebook banner and then add in like a freebie or a download, and you can add your little worksheet images. So if you have a freebie you want to promote, I think these are really handy to have. I want to say that the whole set, I bought them on sale. I did buy them on Black Friday, I'm not going to lie, but I want to say that the whole set of Canva images is like, I think it's like less than $70 for the whole lot. And you get all of these different sizes for different Instagrams. So for example, you get Instagram stories, but then you get Instagram stories. I don't know why it's not showing you all the images. You get Instagram stories with a content upgrade, or you get Instagram stories for a webinar, and it lays it all out for you. So all you have to do is adjust it. I'm going to type the company name in to the chat box while it's just loading. Oh, I'm trying to autocorrect. No. Blue Chic, that's the company. They also do WordPress templates. So for example, this is like a blog one that you could put into your Instagram stories, and it's just slightly different. But the benefit of this is it does allow you to be kind of cohesive, and it takes out that whole thought process. Honestly, it takes out the whole thought process. So if you don't want to spend time adjusting designs and things like that, this just takes that all out of it. You don't have to worry. One of the other, as we're here, I'll show you this. Where is it? I can't find it. One of the other ladies who I have bought Pinterest templates from and my webinar templates from, her brand is called Basil and Bark. Let me find it. It's not in my templates folder. This is very disorganized of me. I'll put her name in as well. You can go through her website, or she's on Creative Market. Alicia does Canva templates, and they look really, really great if I can find them. Where are they? Okay, so here it is. So she did, I bought an editorial calendar from her, which she created. And then this is, these are her what am I trying to say? These are her webinar templates. So if you like me, and I talk about this a lot, if you are like me and you like doing webinars and masterclasses, but you really hate the slide creation, this is going to be a great life changer, a game changer. So she has created like a whole slide deck of images, of slides. You could upload it to Canva. She obviously she's given you kind of prompts, which I also think is really kind of generous and handy of her. She's given you prompts. What I would add is there isn't really a full slide deck. I mean, it totally depends on how many slides you want to do. I think there's like 20 slides in the whole deck. But one thing I really love when we get there, come on. One of the things I really love, she's done this like little pop quiz thing. I do think, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think that this slide deck is based on James Wedmore's webinar like process and format. That's what I think. It's got all this. This is a fairly new template that she created. And when I saw it, I was like, yes, I've been waiting for her to create one of these. I love this. I love the fact that I can put so I did this for my last webinar for Wonder Woman Business Lounge, and I had like all the bonuses, and I was able to have all the worksheets and everything just on there. Looks really great. And then I don't know what's going on here, but anyway, and then you can have your pricing. So if you are selling a membership or digital products or any kind of program where you're offering like tiered memberships, you can adjust all of this. I just think it's really great. I hate slide creation, so this has been really helpful for me. She is Basil and Bark. I've popped that in there as well. So hopefully that's answered some of your questions about stock photography and the templates and paid version of the Canva account. But going back to what I was originally showing you, which is how to set up your Instagram feed. What I want to kind of just remind you is that, again, you don't need to be posting on social media every day. And you don't have to take your own stock. Like, there's no rules. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to kind of mention every day this week. And I know I did a really great job mentioning on Monday, and I've tried to put it back in every day. But your content strategy does not have to look like mine. It doesn't have to look anybody else's. It needs to work for you. If batching your images is like, yep, I can do that. It's going to be super simple. That's really easy for me to do. Great. Like, start there. If it's your long form blog posts, if that's the thing, if that's kind of the thing that you find really hard, or it's the thing that takes up the most time, start there. Really finding that place, the starting point for your business. Because some of the mistakes that I have seen is when we start to try and batch our business like somebody else, or we fall into that comparison trap of, well, this person says I need to do this. And that's why I'm trying to be very careful of not the shoulds, but instead like finding what works. So this is not something I started out doing when I first started batching. For me, it was batching that written content. The images came later. But I wanted to show you this because if this is something that you want to be able to do right now, you know how the tools to do it. I also put together a like little roadmap cheat sheet laying out exactly how, step by step, how I set this up. I'm going to pop it in the group as a PDF download, so you can just go ahead, download it, print it out, keep it. It's yours to keep. And it just goes through and tells you step by step everything I showed you today. You'll obviously get the replay, but it can be hard to go between the video and trying to set up. So you'll have it in written form as well. And I just think it's really, I think it's really empowering to have this kind of simple setup that means you can just copy and paste it every month. And you are now just able to go in, add those images, download them, and upload them to your scheduler, and you're good to go. And honestly, these things are the little things that take time, and they're the little things that can save you so much time and so much stress because you're not having to look for that perfect image. So I will make sure I will link to everything I mentioned. I'll try to remember. I will link to everything I mentioned, all of the businesses, the stock photography. I'll try and locate the other brands or the other companies that I know have stock photography. And as I said, my recommendation is just to go subscribe, find them, see if you like them. If you don't, unsubscribe. If you do, then consider investing in a membership. A lot of them have annual memberships. They're pretty reasonable. Most of them, I think most of them are around $100 for the year, which is pretty reasonable. You can also join on a monthly basis. Some of them are quarterly basis. But you can kind of figure that out and find which one works for you and which images are going to be most appealing to your business. So yeah, I hope that has helped. I will make sure that cheat sheet is uploaded into the group after I get off this call with you. And I wanted to just say thank you also for all of you who participated in yesterday's Instagram boost. The Instagram boost is something that I have been like, we're going to do this inside the group. And I thought, right, this is the perfect time. We're talking about Instagram. We're talking about social media. Let's do it. And when I woke up this morning and all of you had participated and I went into Instagram and I was going through all the images and I was like, they're all commenting on each other's posts and this is so cool. So I really loved it. So thank you for participating. Thank you for, following the rules and joining in and leaving those comments. And it just was so cool to see. I felt like a proud mama. Thank you for doing that. And I think we're going to keep it inside the group as well because it was really fun. So I will be definitely made me really happy to see all that. So thank you for doing that. Other questions, hang on. The IG boost was great. Yeah, it was great. Are you going to do it weekly or monthly? I think I'm going to do it weekly. I think we'll do it weekly at different times each week. Brittany says, the most helpful and valuable session so far. Thank you so much for sharing so freely. I'm actually looking forward to batching out my business. Yeah, you're welcome. You're so welcome. This is probably the one I was most excited to, honestly, all of the batching content it's so much fun for me because I feel like I'm self-taught. I shared that story. I listened to Amy Porterfield's podcast and was like, this sounds amazing. Also sounds really overwhelming. It sounds like something I need. Do I have to have a 7 or 8 figure business to be able to do it? And no, you don't, right? So I know that a lot of people talk about content batching, but I feel like people who talk about it typically have VAs, integrators, all these different people who are on their team. I am just me, but I was able to add these things into my business. And when I started to do that, it gave me back so much time. So that's one of the reasons why I get so excited to share it, because I think it's so important for people to know that it doesn't have to just be if you've got a 7-figure business and a team behind you, you can do it. You can do really simple little things for yourself as well, just like this. And this is really cool. And as I said, the Instagram, the new features of not Instagram, the new features of Canva have really helped as well. So yeah, that's it. That's today's. I wanted to just remind you also that tonight we have hot seat calls. We have Melissa and Mary in the hot seat. And I'm really excited to kind of talk about their business. The link will go up in the group. The link is already there, but I will post a reminder a little bit beforehand. If you can make it, come and join us. It's whether you're a member or a non-member, you are allowed to come on. The link is going to be there. We kind of all come on together, and then I will coach each of these ladies on their business, wherever they are right in that moment, whatever they're struggling with, questions about, for half an hour, and they get this as part of their membership. So Melissa is a member, Mary is a non-member, and I'll be doing that this afternoon or this evening. So I'd love for you to join us. It's happening at 5 p.m. British time, which is 1 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, I hope to see you there. But if not, I will see you tomorrow at the same time. And I'm going to be talking all about batching. I'm going to be walking you through the exact process I took from that moment I heard Amy Porterfield talk about batching to kind of right now, how I did it, what I did, and also some of the mistakes I made along the way so that you can kind of learn from those as well. But I'm glad you've enjoyed this session. I'm really glad that you have, and I will see you later.